What is up, guys? It is Dragon Blaze here. Today we're back with another episode of Inazuma 11 Rants. Today we have Asuto, or well, basically, what if Asuto joins the Orion Foundation? This is going to be a pretty interesting episode because near the end of the episode, I have a question for you guys. Yeah, I mean, just stick around if you want to know about this. Not sure how long the video is going to be, but whatever. Okay, basically, we have Asuto now joining the Orion Foundation, okay? In my opinion, I think I can better just grab the moment where they would be playing against Russia, the first time against Russia, because Asto actually, met up with his fake dad, and let's just say that at the moment that his fake dad actually asked, do you want to join the Orion Foundation and do you want to fight together with us? In this alternate universe, Asto actually says, sure, I will join, regardless if he's brainwashed or not. He just joins, and that's just basically what happens. He is joining in. He's just joining the Orion Foundation, and he's joining like all of the others, and he's just gonna join the Russian team because the other small kid, I forgot his name, also had like this bond with him, like they kind of bonded, and I guess they can just throw him in. And of course, in the Russian match, they actually faked having Asto on because they had this character on who actually, his name is Lus Kasim, and his hair color is not even the same hair color as Astos. Like it's worthwhile. Like he actually is like blonde-ish, and yeah, basically he they really did it well to fake Asto there. But now the real Asto is on the team, and now also this means the real Lost Katsim. So as we have Inazuma Japan playing against Russia, we would basically have the same type of match. And why do I say this? It's because they cheated so hard, so immensely, so unbelievably, to the point where I thought to myself, I actually do not think they just could have ever won this match unless they actually did Grid Omega, but they did not. So, yeah, because they kept on using the sleeping gas stuff and the tear gas thing with Aurora Wave. It's extremely unfair. Extremely unfair. If you can just use the sleeping gas and you can at the goalpost, and yeah, I mean Norika got wrecked while she even had Majin the Wave to stop Innocent Drive. So whatever it may be. Yeah, that match would have been lost unless they just did Grid Omega. That's all I'm saying. Because if the real Asto also was on that team, I don't think that Norika would have been as disoriented to block his shot. I mean, come on now. We had Innocent Drive getting blocked by Jin the Wave. Then it's also going to be the same thing for Shining Bird. And I do not care that Asto would have gotten an enemy team power boost, because that's always what happens whenever a good guy joins the enemy. They always get this weird power boost. I do not think that he would have scored against Norika. Norika is at that point too good for that. Continuing, so we would have so it would just be messed up, and it would just not go the way it would just not go any other way. They would just still lose, which is fine because they still won the tournament after that. So continuing, so after that they went against Italy. Oh, sorry, stepping in here. This is actually the editing Andrew here. Yeah, notice that I actually made a mistake here. They actually did not immediately play against Italy after the match versus Russia. They actually played versus Brazil. Also, in between this time, I was thinking about it. Yeah, Asto didn't really have too much impact on the team, honestly, and on the story. I mean, he did come back, but at the end of the day, he came back, had a conversation with, I think, Malik and also Froy. And that whole entire conversation didn't really matter too much, because actually Malik actually got convinced that something had to be done. And even if it did not really happen, Froy was so convinced that that stuff had to change. I just be guessing that Freud just would convince Asto and Malik right there that they would actually have to change. Or Asuto had to be brainwashed and not even get to that point even. And then, you know, then you can just continue on with everything. But I feel like it just would not have too many impacts with this whole entire period up until the Brazil match, you know, like, or up until the Italy match. Like, the whole Brazil part didn't really have too much impact, even the match itself. So, yeah, continuing. In between this time, by the way, they had like at this point Asuto actually came back like in the actual anime and actual story, and they were trying to figure out how to use Last Resort. At this point I was thinking, okay, who could actually be in the team that could make up for Asuto? I could not think of anyone in particular. Quite literally, I could not think of anyone in particular. It could at this point just be anyone. It could have been Gojin, it could have been Aphrodite, it could have been the Hiroto, Tatsuya, it could have been anyone at this point. Because Asuto just left. But they still sort of inherited Last Resort, but also not. So, I don't know. I thought maybe they could still try it, or maybe they could leave it out for later once we get to later on what I'm talking about here. So, no. At least in the Italy match, they would be they would just not really know how to work it out. Asuto is not there, and this is an interesting part where the story actually does change. So they do not have Last Resort Sigma, so they cannot use that against them, against Italy, to destroy them all. So at first, there actually was a plan coming from Nosaka, and Nosaka actually thought of a way how to beat Italy, because Italy, I think, had already 1 or 2 goals in because of their enhancement. How do I say that? Their enhancement bands, I guess, around their knees and around their arms or elbows or whatever. So Nosaka had the idea to this actually from the anime as well. I had to look it up. Use the supporters, that's what they're called, use the supporters against them, against Italy themselves, of course. So they were going to make provocative plays and get the enemy to collide into each other, and basically, like, in that way, make them self-destruct. And everyone actually was on this plan. Everyone thought, okay, well, I mean, they're using these tactics, so let's just do this against them, because this is the way on how we can beat them. And the reason as to why they did not do that is because Asuto actually was on the team and said, I'm not down for that. I don't like that. Asuto said, we can't use quote-unquote tricks like Orion, and I mean, as I was looking it back and I'm trying to like figure out, okay, how could they implement it and stuff, and I'm looking at the logic here, that didn't really make sense. You're literally using what they are doing just against them. That is not any Orion tactic. Orion tactics are having soccer balls with buttons where a needle comes out, having bands where oil comes out, having bands where needles comes out, having bands that you can use as tasers, having tear gas, sleeping gas out of the goalpost. That is Orion tactics. Using provocative plays to make people collide into each other is not really a provocative play. So continuing, and even then, after that, after they wanted to use their own soccer, as Asuto said, Asuto at some point was like, okay, we gotta use Grid Omega, let's go. And then it's like, wait, what? Wait a minute, since when? Okay, so you say that you don't want to use tactics like the Orion Foundation, which is basically hurting people. And even he said we can't put people in danger, but at some point Asuto himself is fine with using Grid Omega. So what is the logic even here? Hello? I mean, okay, so we all know what Grid Omega does. It literally creates a giant tornado, and it grabs everyone and then throws them on the ground. And also, these people from Italy already had like a lot of damage from the supporters anyways. So who knows what even could have happened if Grid Omega actually was used? against these people. Like maybe they all would have just broken their bones. Like who knows? Who knows? So I mean, at that point, I just thought, oh, okay, well, in that case, because the logic is just so flawed, these people can actually just go for Nozoka's plan. Done. So they could have just gone for Nozoka's plan, and they could have seen how it would have gone. In this case, I'm just going to say that it worked, because otherwise I just can't move on. So I'm just saying it worked. The provocative plays happened. These people started to collide into each other, and also, if all of the other characters start to collide into each other, and then at some point, because this just kept on happening, that all these characters were just getting replaced by the bench players, even the goalkeeper, that just had to happen like a few times, and then Kozomaru could have just gone for last resort and for his oversight clone, and Goenji could have gone for his oversight clone, like, or no, wait, for his last resort, I mean. And even the goalkeeper had trouble with the fire tornado of Goenji, and this coach dude had to like maximize the power of the supporters to stop fire tornado. So whatever it may be. And Inazuma Japan has so many forts anyways. Like this kid would have just gotten bombarded with with fire tornado, lemonade risings, and cosmic blasts, and god knows impact and everything, and GG strings on areas. Like it would have just been over if the entirety of the enemy team, their defense and their midfielder game, and the only one that is really putting in work is Patriono, the forward captain. If he's only doing stuff, like, I mean, yeah, then it's kind of over. Then Inazuma Japan can just keep on bombarding them with shots, and they just win. So continuing, as that is happening, we have that they just win. Then they just win against Italy, because Italy quite literally just can't play anymore. And then we go to the next match, which is Russia match round 2. So I thought about this. Okay, so once again, Asuto is in this team, as in he's on Inazuma Japan, I guess, because. Or what could happen is, because Asuto could have maybe all of these characters could have just been like, Asuto, why are you doing this? Like, come back to us, come back, please. And then that could have happened maybe before the match, or maybe while the match was happening, and then Asuto's like, wait a minute, what have I been doing? And then bam, like the whole Inazuma Japan spirit just grabs him along again, and then he just joins Inazuma Japan. Or he doesn't, and he just plays on until the whole entire match just gets shut down because of Irene, I think her name is, the mom of Furui. And because she just got caught by Fubuki and the other dudes, the detective and whatever. Like she just got caught, and then she was just like, oh, okay, well, now the true Keikaku can happen. You know, like the music just started, and like the whole alarm, and then they actually immediately started to prepare themselves to fight against Shadow of Orion as the Zhao Jingyus, I think you call it, if I can pronounce it. Whoops. But basically that just would happen. So yeah, so even the Russian match doesn't even matter. Like, not any Russian match matters. The only match that actually matters is Italy, because it does not matter for the first Russian match if they won or if they lost. I mean, like, it just, whatever happens just happens. But I just say they would have probably just lost. And then also the Italy match there, it did matter, but they had a plan to try and beat them. So okay, well, we move on. And then the second Russia match is basically it does not matter, because the match got interrupted anyway. So donezo. As they were going to fight against Shadow of Orion, this is where the thing goes where I want to know what you guys think. And this is actually really fun. I might yeah, just an idea. Okay, so let's go. Basically what could have happened here was, in the match versus Russia, Asuto could have found out everything, or maybe even before, it does not matter. Asuto could have been already on Inazuma Japan or not. But at the match of Shadow versus Shadow of Orion, Asuto could actually then be on the Zhao Genius. Just he would be his old self, and he just would understand. He would just work together with everyone. And then in this match, they could find out how to use Last Resort, and then they could create Last Resort Sigma, and then they could maybe use it to, you know, make it the last shot, and then they'd score after all of the other stuff. Like basically, the entirety of the match can actually go the same way it has gone in the anime, but it's just that they just might use Last Resort Sigma. That's it, really. Or, and this is where I want to know what you guys have to say, because if Asuto was not on Inazuma Japan or in Russia, but he wasn't at all on any of these teams, and he wasn't shown up until Shadow of Orion, where he is in the team itself. So you have Yurika and Asuto in Shadow of Orion fighting together versus the Zhao Genius. So this is where I want to know if you guys would be up for throwing all types of theories and scenarios on what could happen. You can make it as broad, as huge as possible. I do not care. You can make it insane, absolutely insane. I want to actually know, and I want to make a video about this specific scenario. Then, what if Asuto was in Shadow of Orion? That is a new video that I want to come up with together with you guys. I want to see what you guys have to say about this scenario, because once again, this scenario you can make anything out of it. When I was thinking about it, I just thought, I have no idea how I would approach this. I just don't know, because there is just so much, there's so many factors here. Like, remember that Asuto was also one of the factors that brought the energy and the realization for Yurika, and he was part of the chain shots and everything. And like, I just thought, wow, and what would actually be something happening? Like, what could be the real scenario? There's so many ways you could go into, because so many other characters also out of nowhere did like moves with each other, and they created all types of stuff, and the teamwork was on another level, because it's like the best players of that entire like tournament, and they were all in one team. And most of them actually knew each other already. I mean, like, you know, most of them were also from Inazuma Japan, and they've played against all of these other characters before. So, yeah, you know, like that. I just thought, whoa, this scenario is just so big. I mean, if you guys don't want to comment, but I think you guys do want to comment, and then we could make another video on this, because this scenario is just so wild, because I just cannot necessarily come up with an idea on how this specific scenario would go, because there's just so much. There's just so much that you could get into. Maybe Asuto out of nowhere could have gotten all of these Orion skills like Yurika does, like the concertos and stuff. Maybe they would do double concerto, and maybe there was gonna be like a not a sunrise blitz, but a shadow blitz, or a I don't know, like a nightfall blitz. Like, you can name it. You can name it. The scenario can be as crazy as you want it to be, and then we'll just talk about it in another video, specifically about Asuto being in Shadow of Orion. Let me know what you guys think of this. Basically, this is what I at least have on what if Asuto would join the Orion Foundation. yeah, that's just all I gotta say. It's either going to be that he is going to be in the Orion Foundation and he is just not gonna have any real impact on at least the match against Italy, but if he would be in Shadow of Orion, then bam, like something really cool could have happened. And I'ma just also let you guys think about that as well, and then we can just then I can just take all of the theories that you guys have, and we can maybe like make a huge theory or something. But whatever. Well, like I'll talk about it in another video, hopefully, if you guys have something. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and yeah, put it down in the comments below what you guys think, and yeah, I will see you guys later. Goodbye.